So this tweet really caught my eye over the weekend, and I think it highlights something really important about why so many schools are struggling so much with recruitment and retention. Right, so here's a picture. In 2008, a new teacher in England started on around £20,627 a year. Minimum wage at the time worked out roughly £10,700 to £11,500 a year, depending on whether you count a full-time week as 37.5 hours or 40 hours. That meant starting teacher pay sat around 80 to 90% higher than the minimum a full-time worker could earn. So if we skip to today, a new teacher starts on around about £32,916 a year. The current minimum wage works out around £22,300 to £23,800 per year. So the gap between a starting teacher and the minimum a full-time worker earns has shrunk to around about 35 to 45%. Now, to make this absolutely crystal clear, no one is saying minimum wage should not have gone up. It absolutely should have done. People deserve a livable income. The problem is that teacher pay hasn't kept pace, and when the relative value of a job drops that sharply over time, it affects who applies and who stays. And then if you take into account student loans and you factor in tax, NI, repayments for that, a new teacher ends up with only a quarter more take-home pay than a full-time minimum wage worker with no loan. Now, that's not a criticism of minimum wage workers. It's simply a sign of how compressed teacher pay has become. That's for teachers. If we look at TAs, most TAs earn between 19,000 and 23,000 full time, but because the majority of term time contracts, their actual take home is often between 14 to 18,000 a year, which means some highly skilled, experienced TAs, people who support SEND pupils, run interventions, handle medical and behavioural needs, are earning below or just above what they'd get on minimum wage. And so when the pay for TAs sits that close to the floor, schools then struggle to hold on to these brilliant staff. Many leave for jobs in retail, hospitality, admin roles, not because they don't love the children, but because they simply cannot afford to do the job anymore. Put all this together and the story becomes really clear. This isn't about blaming minimum wage. This isn't about pitting other jobs against each other. It's about saying when a profession slowly loses its financial competitiveness, people notice and they leave, or they don't choose that career. That's exactly why we've got almost 40,000 teachers leaving the state sector a year and a constant TA shortage in pretty much every school. People don't stop loving working with the children, they stop being able to justify it. And so I've talked previously about other reasons why 40,000 teachers leaving the profession each year. Pay is one of them, and this video has just shown that for education staff, pay has not kept pace with other places. And unless we're honest about those numbers and how they've shifted over time, we'll never fix the recruitment crisis. We'll never fix retention, and we'll just keep losing brilliant people, which means it'll impact young people's education. And that's what we want to give children the best possible education possible. And we've got to make sure teaching is attractive enough to bring people in so they can earn what they deserve in line with what's going on in other areas. And again, it's not, because I know what's going to happen with a video like this. Everyone's going to get in the comments and start comparing teaching. And, you know, I've seen some replies to these tweets where it's really negative and teacher bashing. That's not about it. Just highlighting the issue of how teacher pay just hasn't kept up the pace and is a contributing factor to why so many teachers are leaving.